Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360. I hope everyone's happy, safe, and well today. Welcome back to another edition of Loyalty Live. Loyalty Live is a series where we talk to the leaders in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends and best practices they are seeing in the ever-evolving world of customer loyalty. The goal of all brands is to drive unique engagement, relevant experiences, but most importantly, customer loyalty. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with David Andreadakis. He's a Chief Innovation Officer for Kobie Marketing. David, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good. Should be interesting discussion as always. It's been a while since we've spoken with you, but it's always great to hear from you and what you're seeing. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
My pleasure.
First off, we always like to get a little information about kind of you, what you do at Kobie, and your role and background in the company.
Sure.
And, so that'd be great to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kobie's Chief Innovation Officer. I was formerly our Chief Strategy Officer, and part of what my job was to do was to develop new capabilities for Kobie. And over the years, we've had some great success at that. We've been recognized as a leader by outside agencies many times because of that. But through COVID and in response to just changing needs from the market that were actually starting prior to COVID, we recognized that we really needed to be very responsive to new emerging things that were happening in the market. So we created this role of Chief Innovation Officer to make sure that we can accelerate our response to new trends that were happening, as well as developing our capabilities. So that's why we came up with the role of Chief Innovation Officer. I've been at Kobie for 8 years. This is my 9th year here. By training and trade, I'm a behavioral economist. And so everything that we talk about ends up coming down to what motivates people to me, and financially what that means from an impact perspective on the company, and all about the decisions that both of those parties make to create relationships together.
Absolutely. Big fan of behavioral economics as well. I'm not sure if you've read the book called Rethink by Adam Grant. It just came out about a month ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Very interesting book. I think it's probably one of the more appropriate books I've read in a long time. Just how people get into modalities of thinking and truly changing them is kind of a unique thing to do. And then also it's another new book too, Mark Manson's new book, Everything Is.
I haven't read that one yet, but I completely agree with you. And the premise of that book, and most behavioral economics books, they kind of come down to the same thing. And that's that people, while our brains are complicated and amazing things, we're actually quite simple creatures. There's heuristics or rules that we all kind of follow in the decisions that we make in our personal life and our business life and our relationships with companies. And the more that we can understand how customers take in information and make decisions, the better off we are in trying to put things in front of them that will help guide them towards something that's beneficial towards us as well. So it's just like any relationship. It's how do we talk to them in a tone and in a manner that is meaningful to them as well as to us.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of leads to another thing we always like to know about the people we speak with. A fun fact. Can you give us a fun fact about you, something you enjoy doing? We've had people that were born and put on the steps of a monastery in the Philippines when they were 2 days old. People like to go deep sea fishing. Don at Brierley is a big gamer. You would never know that, but he is. So what's a fun fact about you?
Well, I share the big gaming. I love that. But I think last time we spoke, I told everybody that, I love guitars. And if people know me, I'm never more than, 2 feet away from a guitar of some kind, because I just absolutely love the sound and playing and the art behind it. But a fun fact related to that is if you ever make it to our offices in St. Pete, my wall is filled with exotic stringed instruments from my travels abroad. And so I've got, a sitar or a bouzouki from Greece. I've got a saz from Turkey, and all sorts of really cool instruments. And I learn to play them each as I get them, and then forget them just as quick. But it's a lot of fun to mess around and see what kind of noises I could make.
That's interesting. That's very cool. All right, great. I'm sure most people know what Kobie is and how you do it. You've talked a little bit about some of the things you guys do and how you do it, how you're looking at innovation, how you're looking at strategy, especially coming through the pandemic. Can you give us a kind of a more kind of in-depth overview of Kobie, what you do, how you do it, what industries you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a full service loyalty company. That means we provide the technology that enables all the interactions between customers, and that's getting immensely complicated and awesome. Really, all the ways in which you can interact with customers. It's just every day I find out about another way. And so we run the technology that connects every single one of those things. But what we've built on top of that are all the services that helps companies figure out when, where, and how they should speak to customers so that they can engage them and create longer lasting relationships. We always tie it back to loyalty. We think that loyalty data and loyalty is actually your key to driving into other parts of the organization and helping them uncover what it is about the customer that makes them special and the connection that you can have with them. And the industries that we focus in on, our largest clients are in FI, so financial services, travel, retail, telecom, and we've got several convenience and quick serve customers as well. We've got entertainment customers, and so all of them were affected by COVID. It's been quite a year, quite a dance, helping them see through this year. We're very excited about the plans that they have. And I don't know about others in the industry, but right now the inbound requests are off the charts. Everyone is excited to get past this thing and get back out swinging. And so we're ready and willing and able to serve.
Absolutely. One of the things we always like to do is understand how people define customer loyalty and what it means to your organization. So for you, what does customer loyalty mean to you, to Kobie? And then most importantly, what does it mean to the brands that you work with to help increase the efficacy of their customer loyalty programs?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great question because, when I got into this industry, one of the things that I saw was that everybody had a list of, what they thought loyalty was. And there's a lot of sales speak that's involved in that. And every company kind of needs to do that so that they can catch people's attention and do whatever. But a lot of it felt like it was just kind of not made up, but manufactured. And so we did some studying to find out what really caused people to connect to each other, to brands. And it turns out that, hey, we're an applied science. While we get to borrow from other places, we have to be very crisp and clear about what it is. And what we learned is that loyalty is both emotional and behavioral. You've heard those terms, many, many times. But behavioral can mean a lot of things to different people. So for me, think points and cashback and discounts and all the good things that make up loyalty programs that actually work. These are good things. You hear a lot about emotional loyalty, which is the other side. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I don't want to move away from the fact that points do matter and discounts do matter. We're all motivated in our consumeristic society to see those things and kind of go after them, to accumulate things and create piles of good things that we're earning towards. But emotional loyalty is something that lasts a lot longer. And it's something that's more meaningful. Think about your emotional connections to people, to relationships that you have. Those are the ones that, other things can come and go, you're still going to stick around for. And so what we like to do is we take a very balanced approach to understanding what motivates customers in both of those spheres, to understanding what behaviorally drives them, but also thinking about the emotions. And for us, that breaks down into three areas: elevated status, habit, so it's just something that we're not thinking about anymore, we're just kind of on autopilot doing, and then reciprocity, this kind of creation of indebtedness to each other so that we always feel obligated to come back. You've been so good to me, I'm just going to keep coming back over time. And the science that we apply to that is figuring out the balance between those two things and the trade-offs that customers are willing to make. And what that enables our customers to get is, hey, maybe I don't have to spend so much to get the same level of long-lasting relationship from my customer. And it might actually just turn out to be a little bit more meaningful to them if I can position something the right way or give them a benefit that is tiered or tailored more to them than just kind of throwing points at them all the time. And so we help our customers optimize that mix.
Excellent. We see, and I'm sure you see as well, you talked about just the increase in inbound interest. Customer loyalty is taking a much more significant role within organizations. We've seen our membership double over the last year from a brand perspective. But there's still a lot of challenges with regard to customer loyalty. One of the things I think you spoke to that is very germane is that it's a lot of how the solution providers talk about customer loyalty is marketing speak. And it makes it very difficult for brands to kind of discern what is truly important in their search for technology or driving true customer loyalty. So I think that was interesting you mentioned that. So that said, what is the biggest challenge or opportunity you see in customer loyalty today for the brands you work with?
Yeah, one of the things I've always appreciated about our conversations is how you try to remove really nuanced language that we create in our industry, things like loyalty marketing. Well, it's marketing and engagement, and it's things that we do in other industries as well. And what it does is that broadens our sphere of what loyalty really means to the market. And so you've been a champion of doing that, and so we've done the same things. We've looked at all our clients in the market to say what's causing people to be a little less loyal, whether it's the program or not, right? And I would say that I can write up a long list that would all sit under one heading, and that is relearning the customer. And we've got so many customers, so many of our clients right now that are looking at their data models that they've used for years that don't quite work anymore, that they need to add more information or go get new data points or kind of reset the baseline because of COVID. You've got, if you think about an industry like airlines, they've got customers who've just kind of been absent for a while. And it's causing those customers to rethink a little bit. So if you've got a customer who has a credit card and they haven't used it in a while and they're paying an annual fee for that thing, they're questioning, why do I have this one? And why is it attached to that specific airline? You've got customers who are dipping their toe back in the water and they're trying to ask themselves, is now the time to switch airlines and go somewhere else and maybe start a new life under a new path to executive platinum or whatever. And so all industries, FI, travel, retail, quick serve, everybody, fuel, we're seeing they're quickly trying to figure out who are our customers, who are the loyal ones, what does it take to bring them back in. So I'm curious to see if you're seeing some of the same things out there, like that whole rethinking, relearning how they're collecting data and what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we saw during COVID, I'm sure you saw as well, is the people running these programs not only had to understand how the customers were changing and truly listen to them, because they have challenges with regard to technology. Sometimes it could be open in Iowa, closed in New York, and how do you communicate that? So I think they noticed some challenges they had there. I think customer loyalty is more important than ever before. I've never really been a fan of loyalty marketing because you don't know what that is, right? For marketing, there's 4 precepts: price, product, promotion, whatever, and it's old. But loyalty marketing, what is that? And I think we continue to see that. What is loyalty marketing? Is there a set of agreed upon principles? And there's really not. So, but customer loyalty, everyone knows what customer loyalty is. I want a loyal customer. And I think what you said is very interesting. Relearning the customer is there have been some shifts. There's obviously some emotional challenges they have, uncertainty, complexity, and the brands are dealing with that. The customers are dealing with that. So truly putting yourself in a position to listen to and understand what the customers are wanting is always been a challenge. But I think brands that do that well are the ones that are succeeding. And they're simplifying and streamlining their customer loyalty programs. They, as you said earlier, and I think it has a lot of merit, is points are not obtuse. They're not passé yet. They're still very much needed in a number of programs. You have to reward for, ancillary offerings, surprise and delight, the emotional experiences, or, the experiential rewards are very important. But at the end of the day, you still have to have a baseline in the program. Giant Eagle just redid their program, and they have a point structure, and they're one of the few grocers to do that. They have a complete digital application, one of the few grocers to do that. But they also have, rewarding for, surprise and delight. They're doing emotional engagement. So you could argue they've added complexity, but the program's doing more. They didn't take points away. They added them. Yeah. So, but one of the things that you guys do great with your customers, and we hear from your customers, is that you truly understand the kind of the challenges they have as a brand and help them evolve in a way that can drive that measurable shift or measurable change in behavior, which is what customer loyalty should be about.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think a lot about some of the things that brands are doing to react to it. And one of the questions that you bring up now and then is like, what are the strategies that we're recommending that brands follow, right, to meet some of the challenges that are out there? And I like when you talk about, hey, we use these terms and it confuses people. Let's just kind of focus down here because I know what that is. Well, we feel the same way about preparation. For that, brands should be focused on the types of data that they're collecting, that they should start thinking about what's the thing that's going to serve me no matter what happens. And for us, we kind of have this triumvirate, this, we call it our triple play of data, which is, it's not just the emotional data, which, there's a lot of different ways that companies are out there professing to score it and things like that. And we're really keen on our methodology for doing it. We're one of the first to market there. But it's also the behavioral data, what's happening in between the transactions, what can I derive about you, and of course the transactional data itself. If you get a good baseline read on that and you draw your insights from that on a regular basis, no matter what's happening, whether you're applying that to loyalty, CRM, if you're just trying to create a better experience, that stuff tells you more about what's happening with the customer and the changes they're going through than most of your segmentations that end up being, hard to recreate over time. So ongoing, continuous harvesting of those three different types of data helps set brands up for success.
Absolutely. Where do you think customer experience and customer loyalty is going? And I think one of the things that it would be interesting as well too is what strategy you're recommending right now. Kind of, there's evolution that you're recommending to brands to help them, increase efficacy of their programs.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some things that have changed in the short time I've been in loyalty. I say short time. It's been about 15 years that I've been in loyalty focused. I've been in marketing for longer than that. But this has been going on for a very, very long time. Like trying to get customers to come back, that's been around for 1,000 years, right? I'm sure if we went way back in time, we'll see somebody saying, hey, if you give this, I'll give you 1 shekel off or something like that. I'm sure that type of stuff has been around. But in this short period of time, one thing that I am seeing right now is it used to be that membership was for your best customers. Right? The membership was a retention tool to keep your best customers from going somewhere else. And now that's off the table. Loyalty has to account for all customers. How does your program address all of your customer needs or be inviting to everyone? Is there a path to the best possible customer lifetime value through loyalty? And if there's not, then the program isn't designed right. Because every customer wants to be true to you. Every customer wants to be rewarded for their action. Every customer wants to give you information to make their experience better. And there's nothing better in a company's entire portfolio than a loyalty program to do that. The second thing that comes along with that is, are you capturing and then activating first-party data? Part of the problem that we've had in loyalty is we collect a lot of data, but turning that into first-party data has become more and more difficult. It used to be that anybody, or that loyalty programs were the only way to string customers together from transaction to transaction. And now everybody's got a login, a username for just about every company out there. If you have a digital presence, you have to log in somehow, or your customers have to log in. And so now the onus is not just that we have access to the data, but that we've captured it and activated it and turned it into something that's unique and interesting about your knowledge. And there's just a couple more strategies that we really recommend that customers or that our clients engage in. And that is optimizing engagement between the transactions, right? Transactions happen so infrequently, even if it's a weekly shop, like at a Giant Eagle. I mean, think about your kids and what they're doing online right now. They're looking at TikTok, or they're looking at Snap or something like that. And they're going, impression, right? Like they're burning images into their head so quickly that a weekly shopping trip seems like a lifetime in between. So how do you get at those customers and engage with them in meaningful ways that is not intrusive to their lives? And I'll just say just one more thing, and that is that apply the drivers, all the things that you know about the customer, back to the customer, and amplify and impact the marketing performance throughout the entire organization with that data. Like, take that information, apply it to your strategies, and use that to amplify the impact of every last thing that a company is doing. Loyalty data, if contained just in a loyalty program, it's the biggest shame I think a company could ever perform. That's the most powerful gold that they have, and they should use it for every interaction that they have with their customers.
Well, I think it is interesting. I mean, first party data is very important. I think zero party data actually is as important, if not more so, when you look at some of the challenges with Google and Facebook and third party cookies going away.
Yeah.
They only within 2 years, only 10% of people are going to be identifiable. So getting that engagement from that zero party data, having that unique opportunity to understand what kind of drives those kind of irrational or emotional or kind of higher level kind of engagement levels are based on opportunities are very unique. And I think another thing that you said as well, you talked about customer loyalty should be about engaging all customers. And there's, we just finished an industry report, and a lot of the players who have technology, especially in the CDP arena, are like, oh, we're the only ones that do this. I'm like, no, there's a lot of customer loyalty programs right now and providers that truly look at all the customers, right? Help you identify the people that aren't part of your program. How do you get them involved? So again, it creates that confusion that we talked about earlier, like all this technology does this, and if you have this, you need this. And that's one of the biggest challenges too, to kind of layer on this conversation earlier, is getting these technologies to integrate seamlessly in a kind of comprehensive technology stack is very, very challenging. And more brands we see are starting to bring bits and pieces of that technology in-house, but still they want to have the outside organizations like yourself who are forward thinking and kind of leading a charge in innovation, and obviously your role to help them adapt and evolve, but also excel.
That's right. And it's interesting because I think it used to be that we just spent so much time as an industry differentiating technologies. And now technologies have a lot of the same stuff. Of course, how fast it runs, how well it handles specific industries and all that. That's really going to be the thing that sets you apart as a provider from a tech perspective. But the thing that we're really finding is how well can you provide instruction and strategies and use cases for how to use that technology in the most meaningful ways. Because you're right, there's other industries that look, walk, talk, and feel like it's, can handle loyalty programs, but more and more, we're not able to separate out those services and the strategic impact of how to use that technology to its fullest. Brands just really do well when they find that perfect match between the two of those things.
Absolutely. Emotional loyalty, we talked about a little bit earlier, very important topic. Another topic that has a number of kind of definitions, and we did a paper recently. You guys are featured extensively in it. What does emotional loyalty mean to you, to Kobie, and more importantly, to kind of the brands that you work with?
Yeah, it's it's interesting because it's something we've talked about so long. It's just kind of first nature for us to just know exactly what it is. And I said earlier, status, habit, and reciprocity. The thing that I think I would add to this question, we think that's a big part of loyalty, but emotional loyalty specifically is one, just know that it's quantifiable. That's the most important part, is you can actually quantify how much Mark Johnson is willing to pay for an experience versus receiving a benefit, or meaning how much would you be willing to give up in financial discount so that you could get to the airport a little faster? How much would you be willing to give up in points so that you could have something just feels right to you because they know you so well? And we're seeing that customers don't want to work as hard as they used to at trying to figure out what game you're putting them through. They like some gamification, they absolutely do. And loyalty programs themselves, when you're earning points and achieving tiers and all that, that's a game and it motivates us and all that kind of stuff. But if we have to work hard at it, they're just going to tune out. It's not really a thing that people want to do as much of these days. And so what we're finding is make it easy for them, make it simple. Emotional loyalty is the thing that keeps them there so that you can have the financial conversation with them on the benefits and the trade-offs that you're willing to put in front of them.
Okay, absolutely. When you look at emotional loyalty, obviously your three kind of peers or pillars, should I say, and your program, it does amazing work for a number of the brands that we know. What are a couple things, one or two things that you'd recommend to a brand who wants to create a more emotionally involved, kind of reciprocal, habit-based kind of relationship with their customer? Are there one or two things that you recommend that seem to work well that they may be overlooking?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a couple of these, we really tie back to some earlier things that I think you promoted in some of the Loyalty 360s early on in my career in loyalty. But one is develop an ethos that everybody is working towards, right? And that ethos should be focused around the brand promise, right? If your program is different than the brand promise, then you're off, right? You've got to make sure that this thing somehow lines up to that. And whatever that ethos is, everyone's working towards that. So that's just getting everybody on the same page, number one. Number two, measure emotional loyalty. If you don't measure it, you're just guessing. And it's trial and error. And if you have the frequency where you can afford to do that, awesome. Most people can't afford to do that. Go ahead and measure it. Measure it using a methodology like emotional loyalty scoring that we provide, so that you can figure out exactly how much does an experience mean to somebody and what are they willing to trade off for it. Number three, differentiate based on it. Like you've got the information and the insights, go do something with it. Like customers are more and more comfortable giving you information now, but they're expecting that you're doing something with it. And if you're not, it just feels like a waste of their time. And then the fourth thing is gather performance data on all the things that you're differentiating on and improve the overall experience for everyone. Like just make it so that you can draw in the tribe that you're so good at actually servicing versus trying to be everything to everyone. There's a lot of traditional marketing in loyalty marketing right now. So that's why I love your notion of it's customer marketing. That's what it really is right now.
I like that. Yeah, and I think kind of appealing to the tribe is unique. And again, that's understandable as well, right? Because you want to find like-minded people that share the same passions, interests, and kind of build that, right? You don't want to get someone who is completely antithetical or the antithesis of what you want as a customer. So many people do that, right? Old school. Let's get a bunch of people to the funnel. They'll come through, and you'll have 10 left, right?
Yep.
Find the 10 people earlier, spend a little more and do more to get those 10 people in earlier that have that kind of opportunity to build versus going out and getting 1,000 people that have no interest. And then you kind of whittle them down. It's just not the way you should do it. And I like that finding the tribe and marketing to it. That's powerful. I like that.
Thanks. I mean, we're seeing that same thing. I love the funnel example. If you knew who those 10 were right up front, and you could put all of that money that you were just spending on weeding out the 1,000 or the 990 back to the value prop for that customer, it'll be the most amazing experience at the best price. And they'll tell every single person who looks and feels and walks and talks just like them to go show up at your doorstep so that they can get more of that goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at kind of a current trend, a new technology or an idea, maybe emotional loyalty that's most important for brands right now to focus on to drive customer loyalty, especially coming out of COVID, is there an idea or a trend that you think is most important?
Yeah, it's going to sound like a really generic statement, but I'm seeing it happen all over the place. And that's just the integration of companies working together to serve the customer. We're seeing vertical integration, horizontal integration, companies who are working with their suppliers so that they can exchange data in a way that they can start targeting customers in more meaningful ways. Merchants who have spent so much of their funding over the years, purchasing end caps and weekly circulars and things like that, are now starting to say, hey, how can I target these customers online? What can you tell me about what these customers are purchasing? Maybe we can focus this stuff in a more personal way. The application of what I'm talking about, that vertical integration or all these integrations, there's dozens and dozens of examples. But what's common for all of these examples is that you've got to prepare your data in a way that it's consumable and valuable to your up and downstream business partners. You're only as good as your data is relevant and available. Like that's what your equity really is becoming as a company, is your information. How relevant is it and how available is it to the other people who are trying to service those customers with you? Otherwise, you're going to be a lone wolf out there doing everything by yourself, and customers are just expecting that they won't have to work around you and to change who they are to fit through your experience. And so those who know the most about their customers can focus on the feelings that they're getting in every one of their touch points and stages along that journey, differentiating and just make it an easy thing for them. They're the ones who are going to win, no matter what industry you're in.
Absolutely. Last question I have, where do you think customer loyalty is going? Next 6 months, next year, where do you see it going? And based on kind of where it's going, and I know we've talked about this before, what do you advise your customers on how they should adapt or be progressively ready for that?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and we saw a lot of it start to happen during COVID. And I think there's just going to be a lot less asking customers what they want and requiring them to act and jump through our hoops, and more auto-generated insights that just make that experience better. I mean, 2020, what we experienced for the first time in electronic history, that more searches were done by voice than they were by typing and clicking, right? To go find where's the thing that I need. And by the way, 30% of those devices didn't even have a screen. And so that's this new world where we're just kind of talking and engaging with machinery, and AI is speaking back to us in ways, or else it's not even speaking to us. It's just learning and acting on it. So we're going to see things that are less incentive based and more generous with amazing experiences that just feel good and right, and they propel me to want to talk about it. And it's done again through AI, through machine learning, but that can only happen. Those tools are only useful if you're capturing and making available behavioral, emotional, and transactional data to those machine learning models so that you can act on them in a way that's meaningful.
Absolutely. Well, David, it's always great talking with you. Great hearing kind of what you guys are doing and how you're going to market. And it's also great to hear that just the interest you're seeing around customer loyalty. You guys do an amazing job, and it's always a pleasure talking with you.
It's our pleasure, and thanks for having us, Mark. Really appreciate it. Anytime. And thanks for everybody that's been listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for everyone listening. Join us back this Friday, and look forward to having you back then. Thank you.